Have you ever struggled with a long list of measure words to memorize? It can be overwhelming, right? Well, I'm not gonna lie, even native speakers mix them up sometimes. But if you take our approach, you'll see that measure words are absolutely not just about memorization. Follow our steps, it will be much easier and make a lot more sense. They call it learning, we say it's fun. Welcome to Fun Mandarin 玩中文。大家好, I'm Bryan. Instead of spoon-feeding you the rules and long list of measure words, let's quickly test your understanding first. Here are 4 key statements about measure words that cover the most important concepts everyone should know. Some are correct, while others are not. Write down your answers as true, 对, or false, 不对, before we move on to the discussion. Ready? 1. A noun always needs a measure word. 2. Measure words are words used with adjectives to indicate the quality of a noun. 3. The correct order of using measure word is measure word, noun, number. 4. The most commonly used measure word is 个. Got your answers? Great. Keep them aside and we'll check each one through the following dialogue between Chip and Dale. 晚饭你想吃什么？汉堡好吗？天哪，你不是午餐才吃了5个汉堡吗？哎呀，我就喜欢吃快餐嘛。If we take a closer look at the dialogue, Dale wants to have a burger for dinner, but doesn't specify how many he wants, as he just answers with 汉堡. In contrast, Chip points out that Dale just had 5 burgers for lunch. It's not too hard to tell that 5 is 5 and 汉堡 is burger. But why is 5 burgers not 5汉堡, but 5个汉堡? What exactly is 个? You got it. That's what we're talking about, the measure word. Now, take a look at the word order. 5个汉堡. What pattern do you see? That's right. It's number, measure word, and noun. As I mentioned in the last episode, instead of memorizing the structure, number, measure word, and noun, using the example phrase 5个汉堡 for future application is the best. Now, let's fact check the statements and see if you have a better understanding of this grammar point. First one, a noun always needs a measure word. 对不对? Of course, 不对. Remember how we say burgers? Exactly, it's 汉堡, not 个汉堡, unless we specify the quantity like in 5 burgers, 5个汉堡. Next, measure words are words used with adjectives to indicate the quality of a noun. 对不对? The answer should be 不对. From the example, 5个汉堡, we can easily tell that measure words are used with numbers to indicate the quantity of a noun. The third statement, the correct order of using measure word is measure word, noun, and number. Using the example 5个汉堡, we can easily see this statement is absolutely 不对. It should be number, measure word, and noun. Again, this structure is only used to help us validate our understanding rather than memorizing it as a formula for communication. Example phrases have been proven to be more effective. The last statement, the most commonly used measure word is 个. This is 对. I believe 个 is the measure word most learners are exposed to first. A lot of linguists might disagree with me, but I used to tell students that when you're not sure which measure word to use, it's alright to just use 个. It's not perfect, but at least it shows you understand this grammar concept rather than leaving it out of your speech. But, yes, there's always a but. Using the exact measure word isn't just about sounding more natural or sophisticated, because using a different measure word for the same noun can actually change the meaning of what you're trying to say. Want to know how? Let's check out the following dialogue to find out. And as you listen, be sure to note all the food items mentioned. 除了汉堡以外，你还想吃什么？我还要1包薯条和6块炸鸡。哎，不要再吃快餐了啦，今晚换个口味吧。中餐好吗？好吧，那我要春卷和牛肉面。好啊，我也喜欢吃春卷。6条应该够吧？拜托，我一次就要吃10条了。那就13条春卷吧。牛肉面你要几碗？3碗。哇，还真会吃。那帮你点3碗牛肉面和10条春卷。你只吃3条春卷吗？我再点1盘蛋炒饭，1盘炒青菜，感觉已经点很多了。没问题，你吃不下的话，我帮你吃，不用客气。Right, there's a lot going on in the dialogue, but don't worry, we'll go through it together. First thing first, what food items were mentioned in the dialogue? Have you got 薯条、炸鸡、春卷、牛肉面、蛋炒饭、炒青菜。These are just food items, so we don't need any measure words when simply naming them. Now, based on the dialogue, here's how much food Chip and Dale are going to order. So, what's missing here? Spot on, measure words. You might be wondering, can we just use 个 as the measure word for each food item? Well, yes and no.
What?
While 个 can be used to quantify food, it doesn't give us the extra detail about the object's form. Besides indicating quantity, measure words also describe the shape or how the object is presented. Let's use Chip and Dale's order as examples. First up, we've got 1包薯条. When Dale says 1包薯条, what is he telling us? Since 包 literally means a bag, a packet, or a package. 1包薯条 clearly implies that the fries comes in a pack or a bag, not in a bowl or on a plate. What about these 3 items? Can you figure out from the picture clues which measure word means a bowl and which one means a plate? Take a guess. You're right again. 1 literally means bowl and 盘 refers to plate. So they are used as measure words in 3碗牛肉面, 3 bowls of beef noodle soup, 1盘蛋炒饭, 1 plate of egg fried rice, and 1盘炒青菜, 1 plate of stir-fried vegetables. Here comes a question then. Can we say 1碗蛋炒饭 or 1碗炒青菜? Of course, they are all grammatically correct, but the meaning changes to 1 bowl of egg fried rice and 1 bowl of stir-fried vegetables. From these examples, you can see how measure words give us important details about how the food is served. Next, we have 6块炸鸡. The word 块 literally means pieces or chunks and is also a colloquial term for units of currency like dollars. As a measure word, it shows that the objects are shaped like a piece or chunk of something solid. In this case, kuai isn't about how the food is served, like in a bowl or on a plate. Instead, it gives us a clue about the shape or the form of the food. Here's another example where the measure word hints at the food shape. 13条春卷. Since 条 is used here for spring rolls 春卷, can you guess what kind of shape 条 is typically used for? That's right, it's for things that are long, thin, or strip-like. So you'll find yourself using 条 a lot, not just for food, but for other nouns too, like trousers, roads, rivers, fish, snakes. Pretty much anything with a long slang form, you name it. I believe these examples help you see how measure words can totally change your perception of an object's look and the way it's presented.
Sir, I have a question. You mentioned number plus measure word plus noun, but why do these examples have no noun? Are they correct?
That's a good question. In the dialogue, since 春卷 was already mentioned, Chip and Dale only need to say the number and the measure word, like 6条 or 10条, to show how many spring rolls they want, without repeating 春卷. But they cannot just say the number alone, like 6 or 10. Simply put, when both the speaker and listener already know what noun they're talking about, there's no need to repeat it in follow-up questions and answers. However, you still need to include the number and the measure word to indicate the quantity. We've seen the most common measure words for food. Now, why not sip on the ones for drinks? 你想喝什么？我请客。真的吗？那我要一罐可乐。一罐怎么够？我帮你点一瓶吧。我也可以喝几杯啊。In the dialogue, how many different measure words are used for just one drink, 可乐? When Chip says 一罐可乐, it tells us that the Coke is in a can. If Dale orders 一瓶, then that means he's getting it in a bottle. And when Dale mentions he's gonna drink a few glasses of Coke, he uses the measure word 杯, which literally means cups or glasses. So you can see how each measure word gives us a clear picture of how the drink is served. Right, let's wrap things up with a 快问快答. You have to answer each question with the correct measure word in 3 seconds. Listen carefully. 快问快答，开始。The measure word for a bag of or a packet of is 包。The measure word for a piece of or a chunk of is 块。The measure word for long, thin, or strip-like nouns is 条. The measure word for a bowl of is 碗. The measure word for a plate of is 盘. The measure word for a can of is 罐. The measure word for a bottle of is 瓶. The measure word for a cup of or a glass of is 杯. Leave a comment below and let me know how many questions you got right. Before you go, here are some final bonus tips to wrap up what we've covered in this episode. As we mentioned at the start, working through a long list of measure words isn't always the most effective and efficient way. Instead, our approach reveals that eat is the key to mastering them. E stands for examples. Just like using 一包薯条 to get familiar with the word order and usage. Much better than memorizing number, measure word, and noun. A stands for application. Use measure words in meaningful communication, whether ordering at restaurants, giving a presentation, or chatting with friends. When you apply them in real-life situations, they stop being just grammar rules from textbooks and become a natural part of your speech. You can even challenge yourself by looking at things around you and naming the measure words. If you don't know one, it's a perfect opportunity to look it up. I guarantee it will stick much longer than simply memorizing them from a list. T stands for topics. Instead of memorizing a random list of measure words, group them by topics. Like in this episode, we focused on food and drinks, which helps you remember them more systematically and longer. If you're interested in other categories, like animals or clothing, leave a comment below and I'll plan them for future videos. 谢谢收看 Fun Mandarin 玩中文，我们下次见。